people have a serious problem with procrastination. The college student who just can't seem to get started on that midterm paper has something in common with the grandmother who waits until 2 days before Christmas to start her holiday shopping. At some point, all of us have succumbed to the lure of putting off that looming chore, project, or assignment until another hour or another day. The illustration of the procrastinator who just can't seem to get started is a familiar one. Sitting down to the job seems to bring about all kinds of reminders of far more urgent, usually menial things that simply must be done before the real job can begin. Writers know this all too well. With a blank page before them, suddenly they discover an urgent need to make a phone call, color coordinate paper clips, sharpen scissors. The word procrastination comes from the Latin pro, which means forth or forward, and crastinus, meaning tomorrow. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as deferring or delaying action intentionally or habitually. The writer Napoleon Hill puts it this way: procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. Did you know Hesiod is one of the first recorded poets of Greek literature? In one of his poems, he provides one of the first citations of the problem of procrastination. "Do not put your work off till tomorrow and the day after, for a sluggish worker does not fill his barn, nor one who puts off his work. Industry makes work go well, but a man who puts off work is always hand grips with ruin." From Works and Days. For the procrastinator, the task before them begins with good intentions. They make a plan and have high hopes about the success of fulfilling it, but when the time comes to actually get started, they can't seem to clear the hurdle. Tomorrow always seems to be a better day to begin. If you can relate to any of the following statements, you probably fall into the ranks of a procrastinator. You always return videos with cash in hand to cover the late fee. Your house or apartment is cluttered with half-finished projects. When it's time to start a big job, you find all kinds of little jobs that must be done before you can begin. You wrap Christmas presents on Christmas morning. You're reluctant to take risks or try something new. You buy boxes of stationery and thank you and birthday cards, but never get around to sending them. Your enthusiasm for a task wanes when it comes to actually starting it. Deadlines make you feel paralyzed. The deadlines usually don't get met. A classic example of a procrastinator is Chris, who volunteered to organize her family's summer reunion picnic one year. She took on the project with excitement and even sat down with pen and paper to make some plans, but then decided it was actually too early to start planning. She'd get started in a couple of weeks, she told herself. But Chris found quite a few other things to do. She cleaned closets and surfed the internet and rearranged the furniture in her living room. The weeks turned into a couple of months, and before she realized it, Chris had backed herself into an impossible corner. The deadline was closing in on her like a nasty storm, and so she spent the weeks before the reunion biting her nails, losing sleep, and turning in circles. Procrastinating left her feeling stressed and resentful that she had taken the project on in the first place. The picnic was thrown together in time, but Chris and everyone else in the family felt the effects of procrastination. At the end of it all, she was left with an overwhelming sense of guilt. Psychologists agree that the reasons people procrastinate are many and varied. According to Dr. Kevin Austin, psychologist at California Institute of Technology, the causes of procrastination are not always obvious. Although it may look like laziness or a lack of willpower, procrastination is often something quite different. Chris, who took on the task of organizing the reunion picnic with great enthusiasm, may have experienced a fear of failure when it came to actually completing the project. Her tendency toward perfection may have immobilized her and caused her to worry that the planning process and the picnic itself might not be flawless. Some people argue that they work better under pressure. David, a college student, delayed starting a midterm paper because he convinced himself that